my scrappy friends, welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway. I want to work on some technique videos that go along with the April kit, and we are using some watercolor to work on a background. We're going to use some paints too, but I am taking just the sponge daubers and using the watercolor from March, and I just edged that around, and the key I found is to not add too much liquid to the sponge so that it blends a little bit more seamlessly. So this is the acrylic paint that is in the mixed media kit. I am using some other stuff, so just bear with me, but I thought it would just be really fun to kind of talk through this process so you could see how I use some of the products. This is the green watercolor that I made and I have a whole bunch left over from when I made it, so I'm just going to use this first instead of digging into a pan. But essentially it works the same. So I just used a palette knife for that acrylic paint. I did nothing to it, I don't think. If I added anything to it, it was a little bit of acrylic paint thinner, and that is absorbent ground or ground absorbent, and this is basically gesso for watercolors. So it's a little bit stronger, it has a little bit more stuff in it and more fibers as opposed to regular gesso. And I like a really smooth gesso, but I wanted to get that more of a paint-like look to it, that acrylic paint look. So so you can do this with gesso too. I like ground absorbent when I'm using a really liquidy type of paint, because I feel like it really helps so that it doesn't get into all of the fibers of the paper. And that's the nice thing about using something like ground absorbent or even a gesso, is it really gets into the fibers of your paper so that there's this barrier. It's not going to be completely, because unless you can cover it all the way. So I just added that watercolor right to it, and then I just put it over top of what I did with the acrylic paint. I'm going to do this in different layers, so I don't care that it gets covered. And so I just wanted to show with you guys just how I build a background. And this is from my own channel. So you've seen some stuff at the beginning of where other things that I was using. So this paint is not in the kit, but we do have a bright Dina Wakley paint in there, and you could essentially do this with that. And I just took texture paste. It probably was a light and fluffy because that's one of my favorites, but you could use a thicker one as well. And I just added the paint right to it. And then you get a little bit of a lighter color of a paint, of a texture paste, but then you also get when it dries, it's a little bit less like fluffy, but it's not so bogged down. So it's not as thick as that acrylic paint is, because the Dina Wakley acrylic paint is super thick. It's super awesome. It gives tons of texture. I actually add that to the very end I add dots of it. So as you can see, I took this watercolor, that's the other part of the watercolor, and I just added splatters. So this is what I did to create a background, and I'll be sharing with you guys more stuff that I do with mixed media. And if you guys like this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you guys can get more techniques. And if you want to see just a sped up version, you can watch it on Instagram. So I'll see you guys later. Have a great scrappy week.